want to thank Tara, who's a part of our Medicare Rockstar community, for asking this important question. I'm switching to telesales. How do you find the pain point? So whether you're new to selling over the phone or you've been selling over the phone for a long time, this is a great question. How do you find the pain point? So let's really explore this right now. But before we do that, I want you to think about this. This is what I would always think about when trying to discover the pain point. So I want to illustrate this. So health plus wealth equals happiness. So if you have somebody that's healthy and they're wealthy, the odds of them being happy is a lot higher, I think we can agree, than somebody that's not healthy or is not wealthy. So if somebody's healthy and wealthy, their happiness level is probably a little bit higher. Now, if somebody is wealthy, but they're not healthy, the happiness level is actually lower than if somebody is healthy and not wealthy. So let me repeat that, let that sink in. If somebody's wealthy but they're not healthy, their happiness level is actually lower than somebody that's really healthy but not wealthy. So I've just given you a golden nugget right there in order to discover the pain point. In order to discover the pain point, focus on the health. That's how you find the pain point when you're selling health insurance over the phone, is always focus on somebody's health. And then dig several layers deeper. So one of the things that I would do is when I was going through the discovery process is I'm always looking for the problem, and I'm really trying to zone in on the health. I'm trying to find out how their health has been, how their health is right now. So if somebody has told me that they've had cancer in the past, or they've had a heart attack, or they've had some health issues going on, one of the things I'll ask them is, how has that impacted you? How has that impacted you? See, that is an open-ended question that gets them talking about, you guessed it, the pain point, their health. Now, if they've not had any health issues before, guess what? They've probably at some point had something happen if you digged in deeper. So as far as my health goes, I'm pretty healthy. But you know what? I had a meniscus surgery when I was 19 years old. That was a big thing for me. That's the kind of the biggest surgery that I've had in my lifetime so far. So if somebody kept asking me questions and they went back to that point in time, that might bring some pain out of me. So always just keep asking more questions about, hey, have you had any surgery in your life? What was that for? Start really digging in on that pain point of their health. Now, guess what? If somebody's really not had any major problems, they might have a family history of it. So let me talk about me. So I've never had a heart attack before, but guess what? My grandfather died of a heart attack in his 50s. My father had a heart attack in his 50s. So let me ask you a question. Do you think heart issues are a big thing for me? Do you think that if somebody asks me, hey, have you ever had any heart issues before? What's my answer going to be? No, I haven't. Have you had any family history of heart issues? Well, now that you say that, yes, my grandfather had a heart attack my grandfather died of a heart attack in his 50s. My father had a heart attack in his 50s. What about if that person followed up with, well, let me ask you, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Guess what? That's a big concern of mine. I try to eat healthy. I try to exercise, because guess what? That is a big pain point for me on the health side of it, is heart issues, because I have a family history of heart issues. Same thing with cancer. Same thing with some of these other things. If you start asking more questions about health history, either they have or maybe their family history, that can start really dictating the pain point that'll start uncovering something that's a big concern for them that you can really expand upon and you can really target on what you're trying to sell them. That is how you go ahead and you isolate the pain point, is really focusing on not only them, but also on their family history. Now here's a great question that you can ask somebody if you're trying to really dig into finding out what their big concern is. Just ask them. Here's a great question I would ask somebody is this: what is your biggest concern and then fill in the blank, okay? What I would a lot of times do is this: what is your biggest concern now that you're going onto Medicare? Now, if somebody's already on Medicare, I can say, what is your biggest concern now that you're on Medicare? Start trying to ask some open-ended questions, not yes or no closed-ended questions, to get them starting to talk. So again, when you're looking for the pain point, that's a great question. What's your biggest concern now that, and then you can fill in the blank. You know, when you found health issues that somebody's had, how has that impacted you? How has that impacted others? You know, how does that make you feel? Those types of things will start really trying to zone in on somebody's problem so that they find out that they really need a solution. But if you start really going after the solution, they might not think that they have a problem. If somebody just tried selling me health insurance and I'm pretty healthy, I might feel like I really don't need that great of a coverage. But guess what? If somebody really started unpeeling the onion, I say unpeeling the onion, I've said it in previous videos as well, as I look at the problem as an onion. See, if I go ahead and I take off the first layer of the onion, it's really probably not going to do much to me. But if I keep peeling that onion, guess what's going to start end up happening? My eyes are going to start swelling. I might start crying, because guess what? There's pain that's now being associated. So when you're looking in your discovery process and you're trying to find the pain point, what you need to do is this, is you have to unpeel the onion. And what I've found over many years of selling health insurance is that, you know what? A lot of agents focus on the wealth side of it. They focus on the money side. And guess what? That's a problem for you, not for the client, okay? Their biggest problem is the health side. Of course, obviously, wealth is important. Of course, what they pay out of pocket and what they can afford is a big thing. But if you focus more on the health side of it, you'll actually elicit more pain points than you will if you go ahead and you focus on the wealth. So my suggestion is to you, if you're looking to go ahead and focus on pain points, focus it on the health side of it. If you focus it on the health side of it, there's a much better chance that you'll actually be able to uncover some bigger pain points by just asking questions. So when you're asking questions about their current health insurance, a great question you can ask somebody is this, you know, hey, let's narrow down to one thing that you could change right now about your current health insurance. What would it be? If you could change one thing about your current health insurance, what would it be? Let them start answering that, because that will be a pain point that you can still keep asking more questions on. So if somebody says, you know what, I would, one thing I would change about my current health insurance is I would change the deductible. I've got a very high deductible. So what do I do there? I now start unpeeling the onion more. So let me ask you, what is your deductible right now? Have you hit your deductible? How did that make you feel? How's your health? Start unpeeling that onion. So I'll leave you with this story right now. I had an agent a long time ago that was selling somebody a Medigap supplement plan. At the beginning of the phone call, this couple had a Medicare Advantage plan in Ohio, and they were moving to South Carolina. So guess what? They were losing their Medicare Advantage plan because they were moving out of the coverage area to South Carolina. Now they expressed interest to the agent about a Medigap supplement plan, and that was perfect because the agent sold only Medigap supplement plans at that time. So the agent got excited, started talking about the solution, did the entire pitch, and at the end gives the pricing for the supplement plan. It was pretty cheap. It was like $80 for her, and I think it was like $90 or so for him. So it was pretty inexpensive for the full coverage for both of them. Now she gets to the end of the phone call, and the prospect goes, you know what, we've thought about it, and we want to just stick with a Medicare Advantage plan. So all of a sudden, now remember, this agent doesn't sell Medicare Advantage plans, they only sell Medigap supplement plans. The prospect had gone ahead and requested some help on a Medigap supplement plan. So now all of a sudden, the agent doesn't know what to do. They're now stuck Because guess what? They focused on the wealth. They never focused on the health. So I ended up taking over the phone call. So I jumped on the phone call. I went through my discovery process. So always have your discovery process that you do on every single phone call. So I remember very vividly on that phone call, I jump on the phone and I go ahead and I verify the zip code for where they live and where they were actually moving to in South Carolina. I remember the agent go, I already got that. No, this is my process. That was your process. This is my process. I have to have my process in place. So guess what? I'm focused on the problem, not the solution. So I went through my process, verified where they lived. I verified their exact dates of birth so that I had that correctly, just in case the agent had maybe made a mistake and got the wrong dates of birth. Both individuals were 67 years old. So then I started asking some income questions. They were receiving Social Security about $3,000 a month. So I knew they could afford a Medigap supplement plan. But more importantly, I knew they were moving from Ohio to South Carolina. And guess what? It's not cheap to move. Whenever you're moving, you're going to have moving trucks. You're going to have things that is going to cost you money. So I knew that there was money that was involved that they could afford a supplement plan. So then I just started asking some health questions. Hey, how's your health right now? She said, I'm fantastic, and she was in great health. The husband was not in great health, but he wasn't bad. He could still pass medical underwriting, so he was okay. So I really had nothing to go with on the health side of it because they both were somewhat healthy. Their Medicare Advantage plan had a $4,500 out-of-pocket spending limit, but guess what? Me focusing on that was not going to do anything for me because guess what? They were both healthy and they weren't having some big out-of-pocket expenses. So I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. Have either of you guys had some major health issues? Have either of you had like cancer before or heart problems? And she goes, I had cancer. I said, okay, how long ago was that? She said it was 7 years ago. So I'm not the greatest at math, but she's 67, so that meant that she had had cancer at 60. So guess what? I have to find out where they've been with their health insurance before I can start really zoning in on the pain point. So what I ended up doing is this. I started asking her, let me ask you a question. When you were 60 years old and you had cancer, did you go on to Medicare early because of a disability? She told me no. We went on Medicare at 65. She's 67, so they've only been in the Medicare system for the last 2 years. So they don't know if they came down with cancer, what their out-of-pocket expenses could be on a Medicare Advantage plan or exactly what would happen. So I said, let me ask you a question. When you were 60, when you had cancer, I said, what type of insurance did you have at that time? She said, I had group insurance. I said, let me ask you, do you guys have some medical expenses because of that? She goes, yeah, we had some pretty big medical expenses. So then now I started asking her, I said, let me ask you a question. With your current insurance right now, do you know how much you'd be out of pocket? Do you know what would happen if you came down with cancer with your current insurance? And I just started digging into what would happen with their current health insurance based on if she had cancer, if he had had cancer. And I really started zoning in on the health side of cancer, what had happened when she had had cancer, what type of chemotherapy, how long that took. And as I started unpeeling that onion further and further, they realized that they wanted a Medigap supplement plan based off of what she had gone through before. And at the end of that phone call, the husband said something to me I'll never forget. He said, Greg, he said, thank you so much for your patience. He goes, thank you so much for what you did. He goes, you put us in the right insurance that we need now that we're moving to South Carolina. Because I focused on the pain point, which was not the money, it was the health. So when you're going through your discovery process, when you're going through your fact find, when you're trying to discover the pain point, most salespeople will focus on the wealth side of it. I'm telling you right now, don't focus on the wealth. Focus on the health. Focus on their health, and that will be the pain point that will give you the greatest way to succeed in selling over the phone. So now that you have some of these suggestions, now that you understand a little bit more about how to find the pain point, go ahead and take notes and get out there and be an absolute sales rock star and keep asking questions several layers deeper until you find out what exactly is their pain point. And I can tell you from experience, when you're selling health insurance over the phone, your biggest way to succeed is focusing on what? Focusing on the health side and you'll be successful. So go out there today and be an absolute sales rock star.